Hi there, this is the next of my videos on the theme of IELTS listening. This one deals with numbers. Let me explain first of all why this matters. In the listening, as you're probably aware, it gets harder as it goes along. Part 1 is the easiest part, and if you want to get a score of over 5, you really need to get at least 9 of the first 10 questions right, because any marks dropped here you're going to pay for, because as it goes on, as I say, it gets much harder. The problem is, in my experience, many candidates actually lose marks in the first part on the easy questions. Why does that happen? Well, one place it happens is with numbers. This should be an easy question for you because you don't really have to spell. That's a good thing. All you have to do is write down or identify the number. There's a problem, and the problem is this. Typically, it's not just any old number you have to write down. The number you have to write down is, as I say, typically a T or a teen. Now, this is difficult, in fact, because if you're a native speaker like me, or if you live in an English language country, when you go into a shop, you say, how much did that cost? Was that £2.17 or £2.70? 70? We check ourselves. We find it difficult. If it's difficult for us, what can you do? Well, I've got a bit of a suggestion here. The suggestion is listen for how the word is stressed. Now, if it's a teen word, 13, 14, 15, 16, you hear teen. The second syllable is stressed, 16. But if it's a T word, you don't hear the T at all really. What you hear is a 6. So we say not 6T, we don't say that, we say 60. So in the exam, what you need to do is listen for, do you hear the 6 or the 7, or do you hear the teen? That way you're going to be right. And to recap slightly here, the main point here is to be aware of the problem. If you know what you're going to be hearing, you've got a much better chance of getting it right. That's point number 1. Point number 2, briefly, is you may very well get a time as well. Times can be difficult. What you're very unlikely to write down is, or identify, is 6:15. It's much more likely to be the quarter past, half past, quarter to thing. So what you need to do is learn these ones. Now, I don't have time in this video to do that, but almost any language book will explain this for you. Now, one final thing. Part 4 is hard, but some of the questions there you can do. And, not uncommonly, you get a question about numbers there. The problem is, the number you have to write down there is almost certainly going to be a long number. 1,000, sometimes tens of thousands, because it is part 4. It's supposed to be harder. Now, you can do this again with a bit of practice, but what I mean here is real practice. So it doesn't really help just to do it time and time again. What you need to be aware of is this. One thing is, very often we do not say 1,780, we say 1,780. So with big numbers, 1 is often said as a. The next thing is, in the books, it may say 1,780, but when we speak at normal speed, the and is just an un. So it's 1,780. That can confuse. But again, once you're aware of a problem, you've got a much better chance of getting it right. And a practical suggestion here is learn to say the words first, because typically, if you can say the word, if you get the pronunciation right yourself, then you're going to identify it and hear it when you listen. Now, on my website, Dominic Cole's IELTS blog, you'll find an interactive exercise to give you some practice in this. Good luck.